A warm welcome to a Podful of Saints on Wednesday, 21st of December 2022. 4 days away from the big day. No, it's not really. It's 5 days, isn't it? It's the 26th, a Boxing Day game. We'll come to that later on with myself, David Tavener, and over here, chuckling away already, Jake Ellacott.
Hello, Dave. Hello, Lee. Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas. Maybe not to you, Dave. I know you don't celebrate, but to everyone else.
And Lee Wood, who looks as though he's celebrating already.
Always celebrating with you two fellas. Jake, Tavs does celebrate Halloween and anything, spooky.
Oh, dear me.
Oh, happy days. Right, we got some things to look at. We mentioned that preview with some club we got over Christmas. Since we last on, a couple of squad changes. Jake's probably better informed on these than I am. But,
on earth told you that?
Yeah, the bar's set pretty low to start with, Lee. Saying farewell to Chez Isaac. Who wants to go first on that one?
Lee, I think I'll let you lead.
Really?
Yeah.
First? Yeah, it just didn't work, did it, really? We saw Peter Risley, friend of the podcast, Saints legend. He put out that he was a good player and he was disappointed to sort of see him leave. Rizza, as legendary status as he has, obviously hasn't seen a lot of Chez Isaac play this season. Just didn't quite work. Ball retention is superb, but you need much more from a midfielder in the game of football these days. And unfortunately, Chez just didn't really fit into that system. So, but we will always have that glorious go away to Tunbridge to dine out on, won't we, Jake?
Oh.
It sort of almost went in slow motion, mate. But anyway. Yeah, I mean, I think we need the way that Nobby's got us playing now. We need a bit more of a dynamic midfield set, and we need to move on. Unfortunately.
Anything to add, Jake?
Yeah, I think Lee's absolutely spot on there. His comment about dynamic, I think, was really the killer for Chez, wasn't it? Once those midfielders that came in that had a bit more speed, a bit more agility, technically might not have necessarily been better, but once Nobby came in and he changed our style of football of always wanting to look forward and attack at every opportunity and cover a lot of ground in midfield, Chez was always going to be struggling. Of course, it coincided with an injury as well, but it's just not really worked out. You know, in the summer there was a lot of, well, not excitement, but interest in him joining, established player at this level. But it just never worked, did it? And it felt like it was inevitable that he was going to struggle to get back into the team. And yeah, so this is no surprise. And thank you for your service, Chez. But I think hopefully I don't think we're going to miss him.
Oh.
It's funny what you say about back in the summer, Jake. Because I agree with you. The first couple of friendlies he played, he looked quite lively. In as much as the balls he was playing. He was knocking diagonal balls over the defence for us to get behind. But once you analyse it, you watch them in the third game or whatever, these balls were going out of play. And that kept happening during the competitive games. They were overhit. They weren't finding their man. Short stuff, yeah, no problem. But passes that could open up the game and really help us, they weren't coming off for him. So I think the phrase you two used there, it hasn't worked, which is a shame. We could do a creative ball-playing midfielder in there. Unfortunately, he wasn't that man.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, Tavs, he was always looking for that champagne pass. It was either a 2-yard pass to someone there or that champagne pass that was never, ever going to come off.
Yeah.
And once you start looking for those champagne passes, chances are you're going to lose possession. And I think that's where we were getting unstuck because no one was covering. And I think under David Noble, we've got it's quite punchy, isn't it? It's quite quick. It's quite fast-paced. We'd like to move it around really, really quickly. And that isn't in Chez's Arsenal. He's all about controlling and dictating the play of the game, slowing things down, ball retention. But when he does play those passes, chances are we don't get it back for 30 seconds or a minute. And chances are, again, we're having to run back to our own goal. So, yeah, I mean, listen, as Jake sort of said, didn't quite work out. He's going to find another club. He's a good player, don't get me wrong. But it just didn't fit in our piece of the puzzle.
Right, one out, one in. Mamadou Jobe. You can go first again, Jake.
Well, I have to say, this was a bit of a surprise, to be honest. It's sort of out of nowhere, really. It'd be interesting to know why, or the situation around it. Because, at centre half, it's felt like we've been quite a decent amount of cover to some extent. You know, you've got Ricardo De Trolio, who's been sat on the bench for a little while now after some very good performances. And I'd say centre half is one of. We've talked about this season areas of the team that could be strengthened, right? You know, midfield, attack, maybe a wide player, etc. Centre half has not been one of those positions for me, unless there is an injury or something, then I can understand it. So yeah, very out of the blue. I know he's played at this level before, hasn't he? Wasn't it with Concord, I believe, Dave? So you know, the more interesting thing to me is suddenly, you know, David Noble has been acting in the transfer market. But yeah, I'd just love to know a bit of the story as to why he's come in.
Yeah, he's with Cambridge United, wasn't he? He's won senior appearance for them, which was it Cup? I think it was. Since then, he's been with St Albans Town. As you mentioned, last year with Concord Rangers, he was an unused sub for the game down at Clarence Park and played the whole of the 90 minutes for the game at Thames Road. It looks like his options at a higher level with Cambridge seem to be limited, but if he can keep getting the team and stay with us the way we're going at the moment, it could get him back on the right path again. Where he fits into the team, I don't know. You talk about him centre half there. Looking online, it just says defender.
Well, I've got. I mean, obviously, Cambridge are one of my clubs, and I spoke to a couple of their media bods this week about him. And again, you've sort of touched on it. He's on the cusp of breaking through into the first team, but they feel as though, and I'm paraphrasing, so that I'm not quoting the fellas at Cambridge directly, but there's a bit more fitness. He needs a bit more something about him. He needs a bit more awareness. So, and they've said that he has played in that sort of like holding defensive role just in front of the back four, or in like a Makalele, you know, now role. So maybe there's an option there for him as well. But yeah, when he first signed, I think when you see defender, you automatically think, oh, who is he replacing? But I think there's an argument to be had that he might strengthen the role in other areas. Because the thing is, we've seen where these younger players in particular who have come down from a pro club, they could seamlessly slot into a multitude of positions. So I don't think it's a straight swap per se. But if that is the role, then it could be an interesting one to keep an eye on, because he is highly regarded at Cambridge, but I just think he just needs to have a bit more about him in terms of his fitness and awareness around the ball.
Yeah, he's in for the rest of the season. He's only 19, so he's still got time to develop, and we wish him well. That's the players in and out that we know of. One that's going to be a lot of interest, but isn't definite yet, is Dylan Berry. We got him on loan for 2 months, the goalkeeper, and he's been superb, quite superb. Now, it's 2 months to be up after the Boxing Day game. As far as we know, it's not being extended, his loan, is it?
No, don't think so. I haven't heard anything, have we? I suppose we won't really know, will we, until we know the status of Michael Johnson. I think, you know, I think he's back in training. He posted a story on his Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and I'll be honest, his hand wasn't looking the greatest. But, you know, these things can heal quite quickly. So we'll see. But I think he's going to be a massive loss. I think he surpassed everyone's expectations when he's come in. And it's going to be a real shame if he does have to leave. Especially, it's not an ideal time. You know, what you say? Is it 29th? Is it his loan is up, Dave? I believe you said. So it's not an ideal time, is it, between two of our biggest games of the season, to be losing someone who's been so consistent in this side. And I think, you know, we've talked about the defence a lot this season in terms of how much it's improved. I think Dylan, since he's come in, has been a big part of that as well. You know, the defence looks confident with him, and he's very commanding for a young keeper. So if he does go, I think it's going to be a real shame, but he's going to have a great career.
You've got so many hidden talents, Jake, that we occasionally get a glimpse of. Like you mentioned, sometimes these things, the hand injury, clear up very quickly. I never knew you were an expert on hand injuries.
Doogie Howser, I remember that. What I would say is that you would hope the club are, you know, moving heaven and earth to sort of try and retain his services for a bit longer. I know we spoke about this at length last time, but I'm still curious as to how far down the recovery line Johnson actually is. And you can't muck around with hands, especially if you're a keeper. What would be disappointing is if his loan move was up, he then moved back, to his parent club, and he just sat in the reserves or the youth setup for another month or two, unless he's going to move upwards and move for someone else, first team, then okay. But you'd hope that they'd move heaven and earth to make sure that he stays on for a bit longer, surely.
Of course, if he does go after the first game against Hemel this coming week or so, and Michael Johnson's not fit, the club then has to look, or Nobby has to look at either bringing in another keeper or going with Luis Marcimain.
Yeah,
which is a big step up for him.
Absolutely. He's not had much experience at this level, has he? And he's had his own injury problems. Again, we don't know what he's like, do we? So, yeah, it's difficult. But like you said last week, Lee, these are the challenges that David Noble has now got.
There's challenges, mate, and I don't want a new keeper coming in for a derby game on the day. That'd just be absolute carnage. I mean, I don't know what. Obviously, we don't know what the situation is regarding Berry. You would have thought that he wanted to stay for a bit longer. I mean, unless he's got a better offer in terms of sort of first team football, higher up the football echelons. But even so, give us another month, because just to make sure that Johnson's 100% fit. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, I don't know if you know, but I don't think Johnson's played in a B team yet games, has he, for us recently? So that's generally what they try and do with the first teamers at the minute. So, as you say, it's challenging. We don't know what's going to happen. But even if Michael Johnson is fit and comes back in, I think a lot of Saints fans would welcome him back. So we're certainly not anti-Johnson, are we? Because he's a great keeper as well. It's just we're quite lucky, really.
Yeah, but there's good and there's excellent. You know what I mean? And I'm not entirely sure the two are comparable. But even so, having a fully fit MJ is no bad thing.
No.
Talking of good and excellent, Lee, let's have a look at your shirt. Do they all qualify as excellent? Even Muddy's on there, but do they all qualify as excellent?
Well, this was a present from the beautiful buxom Mrs. Wood, an early Christmas present. She goes, wear this on that bloody podcast of yours. So I have duly done that. Thankfully, these are the only 4 names that she knows. So they're all good ones. They're all legends in my eyes. So, yes, that is a diff. Thankfully, she doesn't know any of the crap ones. So they're on the back. So,
we don't sign crap players, Lee, of course.
That's the owners.
Right, we've got a game to look forward to. Boxing Day, we've hinted at it already. Away to Hemel Hempstead Town. Kick-off at Vauxhall Road is at 3:00. So straight after dinner. Or if you go on the Hemel website, on the opening page of their website, it says next up, 10th of February, away to Farnborough.
To be fair, though, Tabs, they've always been a bit behind, haven't they?
Well, you've got to ask, Lee, do they know it's Christmas?
Hey.
Right,
Very good.
Okay. Last year, the home game with them got a gate of 2,700 odd. We're probably not going to get that many at Vauxhall Road. Again, we go there full of confidence.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's exuding from the two of you.
Well, I mean, to be fair, yes is the answer, and we should be. And there's nothing in their squad to suggest that we should be scared of going there. That said, it's Hemel, it's Christmas time.
There's no need to be afraid.
I mean, look at it. I mean, they played this week. They got knocked out of the trophy. I mean, you look at the squad, Jake. We've looked at this in great depth. It's the who's who of City rejects. I mean, you would suggest on paper it's going to be 6 points over the course of the festive period, but again, you and I, we know that that's not always how it plays out. But we were so excited, Tabs. Jake and I tried to bid in an auction to have the match sponsorship. Unfortunately, it came to light that after the secretary did a bit of digging, that found out we were St Albans fans, and our bid was retracted. So never mind. We'll have to have our roadkill dinner another time, Jake. I think, to be fair.
I would have thought you were spreading the love there is between us and our local neighbours by saying, look, we're willing to give you some money and come and have a good time.
Happy to pay.
Oh, well.
Happy to pay. No problem with that, mate. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, you mentioned City cast-offs in the Hemel squad. You got Junaid Mead, Godfrey Poku, who's far from a reject. Didn't actually play that many games for us. Dara Dada, who played 5 minutes, and Bailey Brown. So between them, what have we got? 28, 46, 61 appearances for Hemel, 2 goals. So hopefully not too much of a threat there. And also they had early this season Alfie Williams, the son of former City striker Dean Williams, who scored down the park in the corresponding game last year.
Yeah.
Our squad, we don't know if we're going to be at full strength. Ben Smith, I guess, is a major concern. Any others you can think of that slipped my memory?
Well, I think, as you say, I think Ben Smith is one. Again, I think we just don't know, do we? But benefit is what we've had 2 weeks now. 2 weeks to try and.
It's a good rest, boys, isn't it? It's a good rest.
Well, the other way of looking at it, because as you mentioned, Lee, last night Hemel played in the FA Trophy, lost 3-2 at home to Maidenhead, was it? Maidenhead United. But at least they've had a game. Well, we've not had one since the 10th of December, which can work against you.
It absolutely can, but I think at this time of year, especially, and I think it probably worth commenting that last week with a lot of the snow, I don't know how much training any team in the area is able to do. So I don't know about that, but I'd rather be going into this game with a bit of a free period than having played, Conference National side Maidenhead on the Tuesday before, which would have been a tough game, 3-2 with, what looks like not far off a first team for Hemel. I think that would have been difficult for them. So I'd rather be in our position than theirs, to be honest.
I think we all would at the moment.
I mean, what's wrong with having Bailey Brown playing as the number 7 in your starting 11? He's
plenty. But look, what I would say is last season when we were there, we were looking at David Noble on the bench, and he was quite animated. He wanted to win that game. And quite frankly, if you need re-energising for a Boxing Day fixture away to Hemel, then there's some serious questions that need to be asked if you're a Saints player. But I don't think nobody's going to let that happen. I think he's going to have them absolutely up for this. Because yes, okay, I would boast that our team are more skillful and they're better players. However, we have to match their intensity. We have to match their energy from the off. And if we don't, well, we could possibly come unstuck. And I think that is where Hemel are going to be playing to their strengths, certainly. But if we turn up and we apply ourselves correctly, I can't see anything other than the Saints win.
Well, last year, of course, it was that 2-0 win. 2 cracking goals from Sean Jeffers, weren't they? And do you remember the game down the park when he got that goal when Alex Lancashire retrieved the ball when it was way over the line?
Yeah.
So 2 games against them last year, 3 goals for Sean, and he's in that sort of form again at the moment.
I think absolutely. I think he's going to be absolutely fired up for it. Those 2 goals at Hemel last season, probably one of the highlights of the second half of last season, wasn't it? There wasn't much else to talk about. It was a great evening, but we know it's going to be difficult. We're going to need Sean to be on top form. But that game down there last season, I remember that first half was a real struggle, wasn't it? Hemel were all over us, very much in amongst us in midfield. So it's going to be tricky. And as Lee said, they're going to be well up for this, Hemel. They're going to want to, they're going to want to give us a knock in the face and get us back for that defeat last season and try and catch us up. It's going to be really difficult. But as Lee said, I think, David Noble, he knows how much this game means to Saints supporters and how much it means for bragging rights. And I think he will emphasise that to the City players over the next couple of days. And I think they'll be coming out fired up.
But the one thing as well, though, boys, it is another hurdle in his managerial reign. He's had the top teams to contend with. He's had the lower league teams, the lower teams that are going to battle and sit behind the ball. He's now got a derby game to negotiate. So that's another sort of a learning curve in his managerial education as well, fellas. So I think he doesn't want to have a loss under his belt in terms of his first derby game in charge. So I'm optimistic. I honestly am.
4 previous games against Hemel on Boxing Day, they've all been down at Clarence Park. 2 wins and 2 draws in our favour, not the draws. And last time we played them, I think it's Ishifano and Banton scored in the Boxing Day game, 2-0 win. Banton, he's on fire at the moment against his former club as well. He's going to be relishing this one.
Absolutely. I think, him, Sean, Mitchell, Vice, if all three are fit and all three are firing, we know we can cause, the Tudors a lot of problems on Boxing Day. I think Zane is one of the standout players, isn't he, since Nobby came in? And, we keep singing his praises, maybe too much. We don't want any other clubs looking at him. But, it's a derby game. We know it's difficult. We know it's a cliche, but every single player has got to go out there and perform 100%, and it's all got to click. Otherwise, we could easily slip up.
We'll be fine, mate. We'll be fine. Don't worry.
I love Lee's confidence. You can tell he started drinking this morning.
I'm 5 beers down, mate. It's how we have to roll nowadays. It's Christmas.
Exactly.
All right, okay. Well, this confidence is now going to be reflected in the predictions, of course.
I am definitely going to go for a cheeky little closely fought 3-0 win for the Mighty Saints.
I've got my Hemel coloured Saints shirt, so I'm going to go 3-1 Saints.
Oh, I better go for my Hemel coloured Saints scarf as well then, from our friends who went to Germany. Oh, blimey, baubles are falling off now.
Oh my God. Deary me.
This is family show, Tabs.
Yeah. Should we do a prediction for New Year's Day, just in case we don't get to that as well?
Number 3-0.
Yeah.
Status quo, yeah.
Well, we'll be here next week. When were you going?
Some of us have families days.
Well, none of you two do, so I don't know.
Yeah, but it's not your family joke.
Oh,
dearie
scathing.
me. Oh,
Good
God.
We'll come back to that prediction next week.
Oh no, we're going to be made to come back now, aren't we, Lee? No choice.
These two games are big in another way because last week the top clubs started slipping up, weren't they? And it's carried on this week with Ebbsfleet losing at Chesham. First away defeat of the season. Nobody would have predicted that, surely.
What a time to be alive, boys, eh?
So when you think they're running away with his little group at the top, Dartford have played a lot more games than everybody else. They've got Eastbourne, they got Ebbsfleet twice over a holiday period. Blimey, there's two big games. So points will be dropped somewhere along the lines. So if we can get maximum points, we're really going to close the gap.
Dave, are you saying we're in the title race? Because I'm loving this positivity.
No, of course not.
Unprompted positivity at that as well.
I know. I'm shocked. Where's this come from? But it is. I do totally get your point, because we said last week if we beat Havant, we beat etc. points. If we win on Saturday, that gap does close to an extent that none of us ever saw coming 3 months ago, which is a testament to the job that a certain Mr. David Noble has done. So, yeah, it's absolutely amazing.
Feet on the ground, fellas.
But
come on.
Absolutely. We've got to try and beat our friends from Hemel down the road at the minute. Well, they'll love us coming down. Lee will be there. They'll love seeing Lee again,
They really don't.
Oh, dear. On that surprisingly positive note, I mean, I can't get over it.
One thing I would like to say as well, in this season of goodwill and love towards friends, I would like to dedicate this podcast to a friend of the podcast, Gary Roos. Merry Christmas, Gary. I hope you're well, mate. And this one is for you, my friend.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we should also mention our American friend messaged us last week. So thank you for that. That was absolutely amazing. And yeah.
He's keen.
Yes, very keen. That'll soon wear off once we've seen a few more City games. But yeah, thank you very much. I suppose we want to say thank you to everyone that's been watching and tweeting us and commenting.
And Merry Christmas to you boys as well.
Yes, we really. And to you, Lee. Thank you very much, and Jake.
Oh, thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you both. And on that note, we'll say bye-bye, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Cheerio.